Hey guys, Coach Dan here. We are back with another back video, back training, pull workout. So some things that I'm going through at the moment for my pull workout is a little bit of what I have self-diagnosed as a golfer's elbow, or just like a little bit of inflammation in the medial epicondyle of the arm. So this is mostly flaring up with like pretty hard bicep movements, so where my arm is fully stretched out and it's really hard in that position, and heavy pulling movements. So some things that I am going to change for a period of time until that at least chills out is just making sure all my bicep movements are as close to pain-free as possible, and reduce the heaviness of my pulling movements, make it more moderate in weight, and do a bit of a higher rep range. So that is a couple of options that I've found to work for me in the past. Also, exercise selection change would be the next stage after that. So for now, we will go with those two things. Hopefully that irons out this issue, and then I can get back to doing the stuff. Like some of the stuff could be a simple rep range change, could be exercise selection change, could be, any little subtle change can almost just iron it out. It's a really bizarre thing. It'll kind of flare up from even doing, like an extra amount of housework. So my same training load, have to do a lot of housework, and then it flares up, and then it kind of hangs around for a while. So, but it's kind of gotten to a stage where it's not good basically. So iron it out now, and then we can get back to normal training. It can still be equally as effective. We have to make sure we're training hard enough, doing enough of that hard training, but time to get rid of this pain so I can, not make it a long-lasting thing. All right. Now, something else I've been doing lately is I've been working on like a isolated lat movement, and I've tried a couple machines, like pullover machines. I've tried barbell versions. I've been fucking around them for ages, but now, I'm all good. I'm all good. Thank you. Now I'm kind of going back to the old classic lat prayer. Just when doing these movements, I feel heaps of tricep and not lat like I am wanting to. So in my time before doing that lat prayer, I felt it to be good. So we're going to go back there. Let's go. First up, lat prayer. We've got this funky looking B strap thing, but this could easily be done with straight bar, curl bar, V bar, whatever kind of bar you feel comfortable with. It's just that these are here, and these feel real comfortable, so you kind of like loop your hands in. Now for the lat prayer, I think the thing that I want to make sure I'm doing, and again, it's been a little while since I've done it last, but the thing that I'm thinking about doing is not coming too far away. I want to set myself just so when my arms are fully outstretched at the start of the movement, I'm going to be pulling down directly against the cable machine. Now, if I walk all the way back here, now there's an angle of the resistance that's kind of going this way. So when I go directly down, it's not as hard. And then when I come back in, it will get harder because I'm going directly against that resistance of the cable machine. So again, just generally speaking, leaning towards making the movement harder in the stretch position seems to have value. So we want to make it hard when I'm fully stretched out. So I want to make it such that when I go straight down, it's going to be the hardest. So here, setting my arms out in the position that I'm going to do, making it directly underneath that or as close as possible. Soft elbow, not a bad thing. I'm kind of just finding my way in the position of my arms that is going to be comfortable for me. And then we're dragging in like such. So if we think about the job of the lat here that we're trying to train, it's shoulder extension, which is, again, if you ignore this part of your arm, the lower part, it's making your arm do that. And your lat is essentially pulling on this part of your arm and bringing it down like that. So that's what we want to kind of train. Pulling the arm down like that. Big squeeze. Some people like on this one, bringing the chest through. I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about that, or at least don't have to emphasize that too much if you don't want to. It's just simply stretch. You might bring your chest through just so you don't hit yourself with the cable. And that's the lat prayer or the straight arm pull down. This I'm almost treating as a little bit of pre-fatigue, warm-up kind of thing before I go into my compound movements for my lats. So I'll do 2 sets here, 10 to 20 reps, get the lats a bit toasty, and then head over to some compound rowing movements. Let's get it. Okay, that feels good. So last couple of months I've been trying to make different pullover variations work, but Old Faithful here has done me true. That feels quite good. So the goal of that one's, again, just to get the lats fired up, a bit of pre-fatigue. So now when I go and do some of my other lat movements, they're already ready to go. I can really engage and lock in on them. That feels great. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one going forward. I've used some of the pullover machines. For some reason, they don't work really well. Dumbbells, don't like that. Bar, don't like that. Other cable ones I've been fucking around with, haven't liked that. But that's gold, so happy days. Okay, let's go. First rowing movement, we're gonna go, what do they call that? A compound row, single arm. See you over there. Next up, single arm compound row. So this is, it's not branded, but what I'm led to believe is an old Nautilus machine that is called the compound row. This one is plate loaded, there's pin loaded versions. They have pull downs, they're all awesome because we can essentially line up really well for what I'm using this for, which is lats, right? So if I wanted to do an upper back kind of rowing movement, I could use this as well, where I take kind of a overhand, let the elbow sink out to the side. I'm in the market for something like that as well, so that might be coming in the near future. But let's not get distracted. This is going to be a single arm. We're going to make this mostly about, we're trying to bicep as much towards the lats as possible. So I'll lock foot number one onto the platform. I've got my wrist straps just to avoid any grip issues. And then we'll get in here. We want to expose the lat so we get a big, nice stretch. We line the resistance up with what we're trying to train, which is a lat. And then I'm pulling straight into that pocket. Here. So I don't want my arm to go too far away from my body. It won't kill your lat gains, but it might just allow some of the other muscles to kind of help you do the movement, your upper back, your rear delt. So if I keep my arm close, I kind of pull it right in and almost even get it in around towards the spine in which the lat is going, then I can make that as much about the lat as possible. So as mentioned in the intro, I'm going through a little bit of, what I'm led to believe is golfer's elbow, which can happen from time to time with me with high volume training if I have to do any heavy lifting at home or anything like that, or heavy work around the house and stuff like that, all in a short period of time. That can flare up, and then it takes a little bit of time to calm down. So to help it calm down, I'm going to do a couple of different things with this. Normally on this one and some of my other pulling movements, I've been starting off with a heavy set. So at the beginning, one hard heavy set with a lower rep range and heavier weight, just because I quite enjoy that, as well as it feels really effective. It feels very stimulative, you know, it's fun, all that kind of stuff. And then I back it off. So I'm going to take that heavy set away because that is where I feel some of the pain. So that's what we're going to do on here today. We've been doing a top set of a heavy weight, then dropping the weight off. We're going to go straight to those sets with the weight a moderate-ish, with a moderate-ish rep range. So let that elbow chill out. Maybe a couple of weeks, this will cool down, a month, couple of months, whatever. It'll cool down and I can add those heavy sets back in. But for now, I want to calm this down by varying a couple of things, and then we can add those things back later if we see fit. All right, let's build it up. All right, single arm compound row or plate loaded row, excuse me, or whatever version you have at your gym. So important considerations for this one here. We kind of got to definitely lock ourselves in a position so we're not getting yanked all over the place. So lock in, get a leg on here hard or wherever you feel comfy. Don't let yourself be moved as much as possible. As we stretch out, we want to expose the lat to the tension. So I'm opening all this up, keeping in mind that the lat's kind of going down here over my rib cage, going sort of in towards my spine part of it, and some of it down towards my pelvis. So I'm opening that up, stretching that, trying to expose that to the tension and kind of line it up so my lat is doing as much of this job as possible. So if we were to kind of, go out to the side, no longer are we in line with the lat, or what we call line of pull, for it to do the job as best as possibly can. So then some other things might go, yeah, I can help out with that. Some other muscles go, yeah, rear delts, traps go, yeah, I can do some of that. Rhomboids go, yeah, we'll pitch in there. Whereas what we want this for is lat. So we go, okay, no boys, rear delts, stay out of it. Traps, get lost. Anything else, your time will come. This is about the lats, right? So here, open it up, line it up, and then pull. Think about squeezing it at the back, lining it up, squeezing at the back. Even as you release it, let it all lengthen out. Be thinking about your lats as it all lengthens out, and then squeeze it at the back. That's a banger. All right, let's move on. Pull downs. Okay, next up we've gone from a single arm rowing motion, and now we're going to pull down. So that's something that I do in my back training, is that because there are different fibers of some of these muscles. So if you think about the lat, it starts at the front of your arm, will come down, wrap under your rib cage. Some of it kind of heads in towards your spine. All of it is kind of angling slightly down to be able to pull your arm in that position this way, but some of it kind of angles down and then heads towards your hip. So we would call the one heading in towards your spine, if we wanted to segment them, we'd call the higher fibers, probably the thoracic fibers of the lat, and the lower fibers, the iliac fibers of the lat, the ones that are heading into your hip, basically. So with that in mind, there is potentially merit in making sure we train those separately or emphasize them separately. So if I'm pulling a motion like this, I'm potentially working more towards the thoracic fibers because they kind of wrap and go towards my spine. And then when I go to pull down or something like this in this angle, we're potentially going further towards the iliac fibers. I might have said that incorrectly. So these kind of movements, thoracic, heading in towards the thoracic part of your spine, these kind of movements in towards the hip or the iliac. So do you have to distinguish these two so specifically? Like the next couple of movements coming up as well, we'll sort of segment the upper back and kind of train it in one direction, then training it in the other direction to make sure we tick all the boxes. I don't know if that kind of segmentation is absolutely necessary. The old way of doing things, or the old way I used to do things, is as long as we're incorporating some horizontal pulling and vertical pulling, we're going to be ticking our boxes, and that could be the case. For me, again, I'm doing pretty much everything possible to maximize everything as much as possible. So I will tick these boxes, even if I find out at the end of my days, I'm sitting there on the deathbed and, all of this research up until now goes, well, that actually didn't matter, champ. It's like, well, there was a theoretical reason to do it. I did it. I'll die happy, basically. Anyway, with all that said, we're going to go pull down. So pull down for lats, same as with for rows, we probably want to keep our arm pretty close to the body. So, the neutral, the narrow one, I'm going with the medium one today. You got some of those other fancy ones, reverse grips, overhand, but probably pretty close to the body. The wider we go, as we start to pull, the arms will go away from the body. And again, it won't not use the lat. It will just potentially allow some other things to kind of help the lat to do the job. So if we stay in here, we will still get some of those other muscles worked, but we're more likely to bias it towards the lat. So we stay in here. I'm going medium neutral. That kind of works for me and my width. So I'll come up, take the handle, get my straps into place, lock that leg pad on, and then I'm pulling down and in front. So the pulling motion here is not back like this. It's pulling the arm down as if we're taking that in and back towards our hip. So it's kind of down that direction, not out, not back necessarily, down, all right? What I didn't do there is lock this on nice and tight to my legs so it doesn't pull me up. 2 sets here, 10 to 15 reps-ish. Let's go. Okay, that's the pull down. So I changed attachments there for the second set. Had a little bit of my golfer's elbow thingy. Similar on both, so that's going to be a non-issue. Yeah, so lats, think about pulling the arm down, tight to the body, big stretch at the top, open all that out. So that's what we're thinking about. All that fucking meat under there. Stretch it out, contract the whole thing, boom, right in the pocket. Lots of attachments can be worthwhile. You can even mix them up over time. You don't have to subscribe to what I do, what anyone else does. You do you, figure out what works for you. And that's how she rolls. My rep range 10 to 15 for the time being, and 2 sets there. And now we head to movements that are biased towards the upper back. Let me show you those. Okay, next up we have a upper back row. So this upper back row comes from a position of low to a position of high. Now what that will do is it will not allow your lats to work, but when you look at your muscles in your back, you kind of have a diamond shaped trap at the top, and then you have the kind of lats that kind of fan underneath there like that. Now the lats, they're angled horizontally or down, and some of the trap fibers are angled up, some in and some down. So when we want to make this really trappy, it makes sense to me that angling it up kind of doesn't let the lats contribute as much. So that's what makes this row really cool. It comes low and it's slightly high. The resistance is quite good because it's hard at the bottom. The other consideration is to set the height of the chair or the seat. So for me, if I go too high, it becomes really upper trappy. If I go too low, it just doesn't feel like I'm lined up with the resistance well. So I found a height which feels spot on for me. I'm going to note that down in my notes and then go from there. So nice and low. I kind of reach over, grab the handles, get my straps locked in, and then sit back down with it. From here, letting the shoulder blades roll forward over the top, or around the pad, should I say, and then squeezing them at the back. So you can see that these handles going up instead of horizontally or especially down, then our lats, or the fibers of the lats that are angled up, they're going to be most in line to do this job. So that's kind of the idea behind this one. I really like this machine. In my overall training career, I haven't had at the gyms that I've trained at, haven't had a whole bunch of good ones of these, and this one's pretty bang on, so happy days. Yeah, so I think on this one, potentially a heavy set is not off the cards. I mentioned on some of the other movements I'm not doing heavy, but the angle of my arm here feels pretty good, but I will work it up and make sure that's okay. All right, see you at set one. All right, so that is the low row, slight low to high angle, plate loaded. So I think for me, the only real considerations there is height of the seat. So finding the right height. I think if you go too high, it'll almost just be like a shrug. So again, the fibers of the trap that are kind of angling up towards your head and neck, they're the ones that are going to be able to help pull basically the scapula up and in that direction for this job. So finding the sweet spot, like I started a little lower, and I just gradually put it up there towards the end where I think I found the right spot for me. But essentially, just find the right spot for you. The height that feels the most effective allows you to do the exercise and make it feel good for you. That's it. Sometimes that might be an annoying recommendation that you actually have to do some work and experiment for yourself, but sometimes that's the case. Okay, one more back exercise. Let's finish them off.
Alrighty,
Okay. No. Hold your horses. I'm the show runner here. We have a very special guest here today, talk by Michaela, and she's got so much wisdom that we thought we'd get her on here to describe this machine. Now, what do you think of this machine?
So I think it's really nice.
Have you tried it before?
No.
So how do you know it's really nice?
I watched you do it.
Well, there you go. And I am the... Say it. Expert. That's right. I am the expert. Now get the fuck out of the way.
He has to put his balls here. Alright, that's where the balls go.
This is a family show. This is a family channel. All right. So this particular kind of rowing motion, the only real customization I make, one thing is I put the chest pad here, just limits a little bit of range of motion doing it conventionally. So I've got the chest pad here, so when I do it, it kind of allows just that little bit extra range of motion, and that works for me. So this is a yoga block with I just got the strap from a hardware store, and that's it, and you lock that on there.
Bunnings sticker.
Bunnings, yeah. My audience is international, so you have to...
What's the Bunnings for them?
Dunno. That's why I just say
Comment that one, guys.
Hardware store. The other consideration is the height of the chair. So if we think about the movement that I've just come from, it's this kind of low to high row. Now we're going overhand and it's kind of coming low. So if we think about the traps, the muscle that we're trying to train is like a diamond. I know what you're thinking. A diamond like this. And if we did with the low row that's going up, that's the upper fibers of the trap. And now we're trying to angle a little bit down to work those lower fibers of the trap. So the rowing motion, this actually has 4 handle options. I'm going to take the overhand, which is this one here. That so far has felt the best for me. Strap in as usual. Sit down, get the chest on the chest pad, let everything stretch and roll over the chest pad. Squeeze the shoulder blades at the back. So you can see now, instead of the previous movement going up in this direction, now we're kind of coming horizontally and slightly down for the lower fibers of the traps, right? So that's the concept there. Thank you for your input. You're a useless piece of shit.
Thank you.
All right, so that is my horizontal row variation. So again, when it comes to the traps, we have some of the fibers of the traps angling. If you look at it on a model of a muscle model, some of them will head up towards the head or neck, like raising up your scapula, and then some will go down towards your spine, like that diamond shape that we were mentioning before. So to do rowing, where we go up potentially, and then also slightly down, might make sense to use the traps overall. So yeah, one movement coming up, one movement coming horizontally. Any feedback for the people, expert? Slay it, let's go. All right, next up, we're doing a elbow supported curl variation. So I have been doing this lying down on a bench, lying down here like such, but again, having a little bit of a golfer's elbow issue where there's some inflammation in my arm. That position is quite painful to me at the moment. So I would probably suggest that exercise is more effective, but for now, I'm gonna iron out this golfer's elbow issue before I add that back in. So I'm at a pretty standard preacher curl. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple dumbbells, place my back and my elbows here, and then we've got our curl variation like such. So using this preacher curl bench, I get some stability. So we could do these on a standard incline bench where the arm is behind the level of the body, but here I get some stability where I can put my arm on this pad and then I can just go to town and be as strong as possible on this. So not as effective potentially because gravity is such that until I start going up, it's not gonna be as hard. But again, until I fuck this off, I'll do this and then potentially add that variation because that was a crack of that one. So we'll add that back in when the elbow pain's gone away. This is not a shit exercise necessarily. It's just that, yeah, because of gravity, it's probably not as effective as that in my opinion, right? Okay, I haven't done this in a little while, so we're gonna find our weight and then we'll go into set one. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have acknowledged them. That dog is so clever.
Put the rope. What are you doing? He's fucking crank up, eh?
God love him.
Hey?
God love him.
Fucking guys.
Okay, so that is my incline curl variation. So these can be done on a bench. I'm doing this to give myself some stability off of the pad here. So get that stability. I can be a bit more, usually a little bit stronger when you're more stable in certain movements and stuff like that. So it means I can lift more weight. Potentially that's more stimulus. Not all about more weight, but like if I can lift more weight by being more stable, that might have a benefit. Now, 5 sets there. I don't know if I love that one that much. And even then, all my bitching and moaning about my elbow, it's still noticeable while doing that. So the exercise change might not be the factor there. I might need to change my rep range. So, maybe first set go all the way up to 20. And yeah, I can even go back to my old exercise selection, which I did like a lot. But I'll check in with my biceps tomorrow as well and then see if they are sore, see if this was worthwhile. I noticed a little bit of pump disruption, which is kind of usually what I'm going off of for was there a stimulus there? But also the fact that I've recently just added this back in. It's not always the best at the beginning, so All these deliberations. Anyway, it's part of the fun. Okay, let's get out of here. All right, so that's a wrap on the workout, guys. So some of my considerations at the moment is kind of ironing out this issue I have with my elbow. That's one thing. If you have similar issue, golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, it can be from a rapid increase in volume or intensity or things like that. So it could potentially be that you just need to gradually increase. For me, it is something that flares up. Generally speaking, I do a higher volume of work than probably what's common. So maybe an accumulation of that, and then I'm doing all that, and then I have to do something else that's heavy lifting at home, at work, whatever it might be, and then it flares up, and then I just have to iron it back out. So it's just something to think about, to make sure we get sorted so we can go back to choosing the most effective exercise regardless of joint pain and stuff like that. Number one. Number two, I think that this workout showed is the complexity of the muscles through the back and potentially changing angles and changing positions to train those different muscles. So we spoke about for the lats, some of the lats, if you ever see, again, you could just check on the internet, like for the human back muscular system, it's pretty complex, there's a lot going on. But when you see the lats, they kind of come from underneath your armpit, attaching to your arm. Some of them, well, all of it is kind of coming inward and downward towards your spine and also towards your hip. So training it through different portions where I might be rowing like this, where my arm is kind of going towards my spine, and then pulling down like this, where it's going sort of towards the hip or iliac area. So with that in mind, you go, okay, if we're going to do 3 or 4 exercises, we're going to choose ones that don't just do the same shit over and over again, that potentially train those different fibers, just to be sure. Like, again, it's not like they work exclusively and everything else switches off. It's just that it might be biased slightly towards that. And again, at the end of my days, I want to make sure I've ticked all the boxes. If I'm going to put the time and work in, I want to make it as effective as possible so I get all the bang for my buck that I can. All right, time to go. So remember, as always, guys, if you could do the liking, the subscribing, that's always really helpful. You can check out some of the other playlists, how I train some of my other muscle groups through a playlist, and I'll pop that up here in the card. And remember, as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.